What simple piece of advice has significantly improved your life? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. If you can't beat the fear, do it scared. My anxiety and panic attacks often paralyze me to the point of convincing me I can't do anything. This quote helped me a lot to overcome those feelings and feel more in control while recognizing the feeling of discomfort. This really resonates with me. I have recurring bouts of depression, hoping for ages that it will go away if I process my emotions about past stuff enough. Eventually, I got sick of feeling stagnant and just had to pick things to do, regardless if I felt motivated to do them or not. Life has slowly improved since then. Story 2. It's better to ask stupid than to do stupid, especially in jobs that have very small margins for error, like the one I have. It's way better to ask if you don't know about something than to guess and then have bad consequences. Always have a student mentality and surround yourself with wiser people than you are. That's the way you learn truly. I'm always asking questions at work that some people may think are stupid, but hey, I'd rather be 100% clear on what's expected. Plus, the way I look at it is I doubt I'm the only one who needs to ask things, so I may as well do it for their sake. Story 3. You can't control the emotions you feel, but you can control the actions you do regards those emotions. This one has been a big deal for me. Terry Pratchett, highly recommend this author if you haven't read him, talks in one of his books about first thoughts and second thoughts. First thoughts are what you've been cultured to do or expect by society, but those are reflexive. It's the second, third thoughts you should allow to guide your actions. Those are the intentional ones. No one says you have to be a Vulcan, but you are responsible for what you do and say under the influence of those emotions. I was angry is not an excuse for bad behavior, and if you do badly because of it, have the decency to own up to it and make amends. Feelings don't justify behavior. Story 4. Never accept criticism from someone who you wouldn't accept advice from. Criticism is odd. Reminds me of this. A young artist exhibits their work for the first time, and a well-known art critic is in attendance. The critic says to the young artist, "Would you like my opinion on your work?" "Yes," says the young artist. "It's worthless," says the critic. The artist replies, "I know, but tell me anyway." I find this advice, to put it bluntly, awful. Giving criticism and giving advice are two different skills. You should never ignore the opportunity to better yourself just because of your judgments of the speaker. That is not to say all criticism is valid. Sometimes people are either an idiot or just a jerk. Listen to what people have to say to you. Maybe you will realize something about yourself you had been ignoring. Story 5. I spent 89 years worrying about things that might happen that never did. World War II vet fishing, bro. I always read advice like this and it's so true, but I just cannot stop worrying. I am in therapy, and it does help somewhat, but man, my brain just will not quit. In a similar vein, don't worry about things before they happen. Then you're just suffering twice. Helps me when I start going down an overthinking rabbit hole. If you worry about it and you're wrong, you suffered for no reason. If you worry about it and you're right, you've suffered twice. Story 6. You can't keep blaming yourself. Blame yourself once and then move on. From Homer Simpson of all people, but it has been helpful with me moving forward. My fave is him and Wiggum tied up in a car trunk. Homer says something like, "You can do it." Wiggum, "You really have that much faith in me?" Homer, "Faith is what you have in things that don't exist. Your awesomeness is real." And Wiggum breaks them out. Story 7. Don't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. It's made me appreciate my own journey and achievements instead of constantly feeling inadequate. I had to remove Facebook again yesterday because I noticed I was doing that. It's wild how social media can make you feel down just by seeing someone else's highlight reel. I normally don't have the FB app on my phone, but the marketplace is just so good. So many deals, but then I find myself doing a kind of shopaholic, looking at deals when I'm stressed. Then I found myself scrolling eventually. Then comparing myself. I knew I had to delete it. Story 8. You need to love yourself more than the need to be loved by other people. For me, context is, love yourself more than the need to be loved by other people, and you will always show up authentically, never compromising your own values and beliefs to please others and make them comfortable. You'll always be okay at the end of the day because you have yourself, not because you have someone else. by treating yourself the way you treat the people you love. Take care of yourself, of your physical and mental health. Treat yourself to something nice just because it might cheer you up. Celebrate your victories and accomplishments, however little. Be proud of yourself and how far you've come. Don't hide your emotions from yourself. Encourage yourself to try new things and grow, and don't belittle yourself when it doesn't work out. Story 9. Focus on the things that make you smile, even if they're small, like the perfect cup of coffee or a good book. It's amazing how the little joys can transform your day. I love the show Twin Peaks, and there's a wonderful little moment about this in one of the episodes where Dale Cooper is talking to the sheriff. "Harry, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Every day, once a day, give yourself a present. Don't plan it, don't wait for it, just let it happen. It could be a new shirt at the men's store, a cat nap in your office chair, or 2 cups of good hot black coffee, like this." Story 10. My then 8-year-old niece told me how she sat with her pet as it passed away. In my 40-plus years, I was always too sensitive to stay in the room while the veterinarian put a pet to sleep, or while a pet was experiencing its last moments at home. My niece told me it's important to give your pet comfort and love as they pass. A couple years ago, I had a pet pass away, and while it was happening, I remembered my niece. So I resolved to stay beside my wonderful little Mose as he left. I put my hand on him and felt him pass. It was hard for me, but I knew at that moment that I gave him one last comfort, and that's because my niece gave me the strength and inspiration to do so. I will never leave a pet alone at that moment again. Story 11. You don't have to like everything about yourself. Really helped me lean into radical acceptance for things out of my control. A disability, a physical feature, family or lineage, a mental health diagnosis. Anything along the lines of something we haven't chosen or brought upon ourselves. I'm going to use body positivity as an example because I think it provides the clearest answer. Freddie was born with larger, more outwardly turned ears. Every time Freddie looks in the mirror, he thinks, "I hate my ears. I wish they looked normal." Freddie expresses this and friends preach back, "But you should love everything about yourself. You should never feel embarrassed for how you were born." Body positivity. Freddie tries and tries to like his ears, but he's unsuccessful. Why can't I like myself? I'm embarrassed about my ears still. And now I'm ashamed that I still think this way when everyone says I shouldn't. One day, Freddie expresses this to his therapist, who says, "Who said you have to like everything about yourself? When you're out to dinner and you get a free house salad, do you like everything in it? Maybe you hate cucumbers. Do you then reject the whole salad and send it back? Or do you put them to the side and focus on eating the remaining salad, which you find absolutely delicious? You're allowed to not like things about yourself, and they're allowed to exist next to the things you do like about yourself. It's all about where you want to emphasize the focus." In the days following, Freddie talks to himself in the mirror. "These are my ears. I don't like them, but they are a part of me. A small part of a much larger picture, one that I love." Later, friends follow up with Freddie about how he's been feeling about himself. Freddie nonchalantly responds, "Look, my ears may not be my personal taste when it comes to attractiveness, but that's okay. They exist." Radical acceptance, the art of not giving a freak. Story 12. The best response to a compliment is just, "Thank you." I had to learn this in art school. I realized it rubbed me the wrong way when I was excited about something a colleague was working on, and they would immediately start listing everything they disliked about it, or straight up say they didn't like it. I resolved I would make sure to say thank you before anything else, and if I didn't like something, I'd either keep it brief or not mention it at all. Or just say, "Thank you, I'm glad you noticed that part. I'm proud of that," even if that's not 100% the case. The other person is enjoying your work. That's what you wanted. Don't try to change their mind. Story 13. Don't be the printer guy, said to me by my boss, who was barely a couple years older than me at my first job. It's my first job. I'm part of the office IT team. I have to be as useful as possible. So does anyone around the office have a problem? I got this. So much enthusiasm, so much spunk. Man, 20-year-old me was a PC fixing machine. And one day, as I'm running from office to office debugging a printer problem, Dave pulled me aside and said, "Listen here. Printers will always break, and even though you didn't do it, it will always be your fault. I'm giving you this advice now. Don't be the printer guy." That advice has totally changed the trajectory of my life. Dave, if you're out there, thanks. Story 14. It happened. Move on. It sounds a bit rude, but I actually found it really helpful. There's no point overthinking, lamenting, and dwelling on why something happened or what you could have done. Why did someone do something to you? You don't need to overthink or make excuses for your own or other people's actions. It happened. It's done. And you should just move on and look at the present, future. Be positive and don't make yourself upset, angry, and waste time and energy focusing on something you can't change. I really needed to read this, to be honest. I keep overthinking about that happened in the past, as if that's gonna change anything. And I feel like my own past mistakes and regret are holding me back, but ultimately it's up to me to decide to just move past it. Sometimes you won't get closure, but just gotta keep moving forward. I think that really needs to sink in for me, to be honest, because in my head, constantly overthinking things might one day lead me to a groundbreaking epiphany that'll solve all my problems, like a magic pill, when deep down, I know that's not true. Really wish it was that easy. Story 15. I once watched a documentary about obesity and they interviewed a doctor, and when talking about exercise, she said, "If you're at 0, anything is an improvement." I don't remember the exact words, but the exact wording is not that important. Because it still motivated me to start exercising for the first time in my life. It took the pressure off me to do hours and hours of sports, which was not doable for me at that point in my life. I was at 0. And if I did half an hour of exercise a week, it wasn't 0 any longer, right? It would be an improvement, right? Even if it's not the 3 to 5 hour recommended. It's been a year now and I'm healthier than I've ever been before. I lost weight, gained muscles, improved my mental health, and so on. I actually enjoy doing sports now. Half an hour turned into going to the gym twice a week for an hour and attending a dance class once a week, which is a lifestyle I never thought could be possible for me. And I would never have reached this point in my life if that once doctor in this one documentary hadn't said this. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below.